It ain't the left side or the right side, then it must be the fin side. It ain't the left side.
Thank you, Solo D. Welcome to another episode of On the Fin Side here with Kat and Paul. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and on Spotify. Be sure to check out our merch store too, on-the-finside.threadless.com. It is Jets Week Part 2, and we're joined again here by Jeff LJ Lloyd. Jeff is a Jets correspondent for the NFL Daily Mock Draft and also puts on his AFC South hat and talks about the Browns on the Locked On Draft Network too. Jeff, thanks for joining us again.
Hey guys, how's everything going? Here we are. I mean, it's amazing how fast the NFL season goes by, and here we are. Week 9. It's just insane how quickly this goes by.
Yeah, week 9 we're at now, and just 7 weeks ago we were talking about the Dolphins and the Jets, who at the time had a winning record, both 1-0, and the Jets were coming off a 48-17 win over the Detroit Lions, where Sam Darnold looked very good throughout the summer, as well as that first game. So on Sam Darnold, Jeff, what is the feeling now? I mean, he's a rookie quarterback. He's 21 years old. Right now has a quarterback rating of 74.5, which is 32nd in the NFL. But he is still a young guy. Is there that patient feeling with Jets fans, or is it a little bit worrisome right now?
I don't think anybody's worried about Sam Darnold. I mean, he is every bit the part. He's the forever early guy into the facility. They're missing some things. The offensive line can use some pieces. Look, you just lost Bilal Powell. He's been a Jets big fixture of their offense for a long time. Robbie Anderson dinged up. Quincy Nunwa dinged up. It's really tough when your skill guys go down. It puts you in a tough spot. Sam Darnold's going to be fine. I mean, it's just tough when you got to go out there and you got to play a game on the road in a place like Chicago, and you're down, 3-4 of the guys that you're used to performing with. Nobody's worried about Darnold. I think this season, I don't want to say it was a throwaway, but it was, we've got our guy. Let's get through this year. We've got cap space. We've got a little capital, and, we'll finish it. But once you get your guy, they're good with him. It's just a matter of, getting the rest of the pieces in place to this point.
Yeah, and I've watched a lot of Darnold this year, and nothing has struck out as a player that's blowing it. It more looks like this is an offense right now that does not have a lot of weapons. And sticking on that, looking back at week 2 as well, Darnold completed 25 of 41 passes in that game. 19 of them went to Bilal Powell, Quincy Enunwa, Terrell Pryor, and Robbie Anderson. Now you look back now, and Bilal Powell's on IR. Terrell Pryor was cut. He's with the Bills now. And Enunwa and Robbie Anderson are pretty iffy for this game. So how do you see the weapons being spread out at running back, wide receiver, and tight end in this game?
Well, there's an opportunity where Enunwa's going to be back. Obviously, they really like the selection of Chris Herndon. Other than a little off-field gap. I mean, it's going to probably cost him a suspension somewhere down the line. But the player, Chris Herndon, has been a special talent. Isaiah Crowell, he runs hot and cold. There's days where Isaiah Crowell cannot be stopped. There's days where he runs into a lot of dirty water and he can't get anything and find a way to get out. But that's what you kind of got to feature on is you got to run the ball with Crowell. Because the other two backs, McGuire, whether or not he's back or not, it's going to be interesting. But these guys are, they're more outside. They need to control the game, the Jets, from the offensive side. You got to keep it simple for your rookie quarterback. Hopefully Enunwa was back. Hopefully, you've got most of your receiving core, but, you can't feature Jermaine Kearse as the number one wide receiver and expect to have a ton of success.
On the Jets offensive line, not a lot of big names, but they seem to have overachieved over the last couple of years. And last time the Dolphins defensive line got the better of them. It's really the last time the Dolphins defensive line got the better of anybody. But how do they project here protecting Sam Darnold against the Dolphins defense?
I think it's got to be, you can't really run the long developing plays right now because you don't have, the elite, blockers on the outside. I mean, Shell is very good at right tackle, but you have some shortcomings at your left tackle. And somewhere in between, Carpenter on the left side, you have your shortcomings. So the pressure comes in from that side. And look, when you're a rookie quarterback, you want everything to happen where you can be able to throw from your spot. or at least step up. Once you got to start breaking the pocket, that's where, it gets difficult. So with Sam Darnold, if they can keep him on his spot or where he's got to step up in the pocket, he's been fine. But once they got to break the pocket, it gets a little difficult for these young quarterbacks.
Sure. And looking at the defensive side of the ball, too, looks like they're going to get Tremaine Johnson back. As we're recording the show, he did practice today. Going to be a big get back for them at that cornerback spot. They got Marcus May back last week. Mo Claiborne looks like he'll play too. So it looks like they're finally going to be able to put back together that complete secondary that they've invested in. How is the defense looking right now?
It's still void of a pass rusher, and it's kind of funny when you talk about the New York Jets because it's been void of a pass rusher for about 12, 13, 14 years. They just never have that just one guy where everybody's got to say, all right, that's where he is on this play. But, I mean, the rest of it's shaping up. Duron Lee is, as much as, you worry about him sometimes, the guy's a little kooky. He's really, really doing well. Avery Williamson has been a fantastic addition. So the linebacking core is solid. The defensive line, Leonard Williams and, obviously, Anderson, they brought in from the Colts. It's a solid group. I mean, the only thing they're really missing, because this secondary is good, and they're going to move on from Buster Screen this year, and you can always, there's plenty of guys who can play nickel. It's always tough to find that guy who's going to be a true number one. So maybe they got an added nickel, and they just need that elite pass rusher. It's not far off. It's a good group, and they're tight. They're energetic. They play hard to make a lot of things happen. They just need that home run hitter of a pass rusher.
Yeah, so at safety, you've got Marcus May, you've got Jamal Adams. On the outside, you've got Mo Claiborne, you've got Tremaine Johnson coming back. Looks like a really good starting four there. As you get into the nickel and dime backs, how do those factor out there?
Well, Nickerson was the fifth-round pick out of Tulane. He's another one. He gives you off almost like a little bit of a Jamal Adams vibe. Like he's just a ball of energy, goes hard every single snap he gets. Solid player. There's depth to this. They had Rashard Robinson, who they traded for last year from San Francisco 49ers. A little bit. Another guy a little bit troubled off the field, but he's got legit raw talent. They got a young man at Ole Miss who is a two-way player at Ole Miss. They drafted him as a cornerback. There's a lot of teeth to it, and it's more just an upfront issue. The secondary, there is a lot to it, and they're a really fun group. Long, rangy, athletic guys.
And the Jets have not let up a 100-yard rusher this year, too. So their run defense, not going to say has been great, but looking at my stat sheet here, allowing about 4.2 yards per carry to opposing running backs. And I understand Steve McClendon, their nose tackle, is a little bit iffy for this game, too. He may play, he may not. Who are the players to watch on the Jets' run defense?
I think most of it starts with Leonard Williams, and like I said earlier, with Anderson and some of these guys. But it's not so much the defensive front; it's the linebackers. They are quick. They pursue between Williamson and Lee, and like the defensive front right now, it's more of a absorbing blocks and letting these faster linebackers run around and make the plays. This was something they had talked about prior up into the 2017 draft. They wanted to get younger. They wanted to get faster, and they were emphasis on speed on defense. And that's where you get the linebacking crew they have now. They have more guys who are just going to absorb the blocks and let these guys read and react and win with speed to the spot. It all comes down to whether or not they make the tackle or not, though.
So, Jeff, what do you think the Jets need to do to go 1-1 against the Dolphins here this year?
I honestly, the ebbs and flows. And look, Brock Osweiler, that whole situation is what it is. But if you told me, the New York Jets with Sam Darnold versus the Miami Dolphins with Brock Osweiler, I think it's a winnable game for the New York Jets. It's all going to depend down, can Sam have the weapons? And if he gets out there and he's got enough of the crew, I think he's got a shot. But it's really tough when you're a young quarterback. You've got like a nice rapport with 5-6 guys, but now you're down to 2 or 3, and the defense knows you only got 2 or 3, so that's who the guys are going to key on. So it'll be interesting how that plays out. But, it's different this year. They're going down now. It was 75 degrees in New Jersey today, so it's not like it's going to be a big shock. A lot of times that happens when they get to Miami with the Jets. They get down there, it's a little warmer than they expect. It's been warm the last couple of days. I think they're going to be ready to roll. And, any slip-ups on Miami's part, I think there's a really good shot the Jets can win this game.
Well, it better be a winnable game from the Jets because I can tell you this, we stink right now. We've lost 4 of the last 5. and the only win was against the Bears in overtime. So I think it is going to be a good game, and this is still big for both teams because the Dolphins can go to 5-4, maybe point their nose back into the playoff hunt a little bit. The Jets can get to 4-5, be even with the Dolphins for second place in the AFC East. A lot of momentum to be gained for Sam Darnold too. Jeff, what questions do you have for us that maybe the Jets universe is thinking about?
Well, first off, is the quarterback position like settled in Miami, or is is the change going to have to be made there? Devontae Parker. There's just so many. There seems like there's the running back position. Obviously, Frank Gore is a fantastic guy, but there's no longevity there. Is there going to be some? Are these guys doing enough right now, or are there going to be wholesale changes on the skill position as the Dolphins move forward?
I don't see wholesale changes in the skill position because at receiver and running back, there is a lot of speed, and the Dolphins have invested a lot too in terms of draft picks and money. I mean, Kenyon Drake's going to be around for a while. He still has 2 years left on a rookie contract. Albert Wilson's out for the year, but he'll be back next year. Jakeem Grant, too, is on a rookie contract. Devontae Parker's the interesting one because he comes back out after that whole thing with his agent and catches 6 passes for 134 yards on Thursday Night Football, and it should have been more. I mean, he was missed on 2 deep passes, one of which was a 60-yard touchdown. You've also got Gesicki and Durham Smythe as the second and fourth round picks. So you've got a lot there in the skill positions in terms of speed and in terms of bodies. At quarterback, no, the whole thing right now is a mess because other than Ryan Tannehill's play in the first 3 games of the year, it's been pretty bad. I mean, Tannehill's last 2 games were an absolute nightmare. Osweiler came in, played well for a little while, but has started to look more like the old Brock Osweiler. So if the Dolphins have the opportunity, I think they're going to be looking for another quarterback in 2019, unless Ryan Tannehill comes back off his injury and plays much, much better than he did at the beginning of the year.
I get it. And now, how is, a lot of young players on defense with Harris and the 2 Ohio State Buckeyes. How's that all working out?
Terrible. Thanks for asking. Now, to put that in perspective, the way the Dolphins have played on defense the last 2 games has been a level of terribleness I don't think I've ever seen before out of any Dolphins defense. I mean, and I'm not overreacting, I don't think either, because over the last 2 games against the Lions and Texans, Deshaun Watson and Matt Stafford have more touchdowns than incomplete passes. And I'm not exaggerating, that's a fact. And at running back, over the last 2 games too, the Dolphins are letting up over 7 yards a carry to opposing running back. So they just can't get it figured out on defense. I think the system is broke. I think Matt Burke's head is broke as defensive coordinator. But the only good thing moving forward looking at the defense is we feel that the talent is too good to be playing this badly, especially in the secondary. So kind of like with the Jets, the Dolphins need to fix the front 7 badly so that it can complement the back 4.
I get it. It's
so, Jeff, what's your prediction for this weekend?
I think it's just going to pull this one off. I think it's so tough with kickers nowadays because you never want to give like a normal score. So I'll give you like a 26-23 Jets win. But if the Jets can get, if the New England's going to be able to play, I think it's going to be big for them. And Sam Darnold, like, he's not shrinking away from every challenge. It just almost seems like each week he comes a little more committed, works a little bit harder, shows up a little bit earlier. You got to believe stuff like that's going to pay off.
We are joined by Jeff LJ Lloyd here. He is a correspondent for the NFL Daily Mock Draft for the Jets, as well as for the Browns on the Locked On NFL Draft. Jeff, thanks for joining us here tonight. And again, as usual, we wish you the worst of luck this weekend.
I can truly understand. And, and that comes down to the joy of these games. It truly does.
It does.
There's you always get to see white snow, and we're always by the beach, and nobody likes each other. And that's
exactly. We love to hate each other, but we really enjoy having you on the show. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Always a blast, guys. You know that.
And that will do it for our breakdown of the Jets-Dolphins matchup, looking at the opposing sideline. You can follow Paul and I on the Fin Side on Facebook, Twitter, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and on Spotify. And if it's not on the right side and it's not on the left side, it is on the Fin Side. Solo D, take us home.
It ain't the left side or the right side, and it must be the Fin side. It ain't the left side or the right side.